Wait, say that again.
The dog, the cat, and the hamster.
Okay.
So you're gonna do this graphic organizer input chart. And on that graphic organizer input chart, you're gonna put the dog, the cat, and the hamster. And each one's gonna have a special color. So what color would you make the dog?
Red.
Okay. What color would you make the cat?
Pink.
Okay. And what about the hamster?
Orange.
Okay. So every time you talk about the dog in the whole unit, you're gonna talk about it with red.
Okay.
So you're gonna draw a dog. You're gonna write a few things about the dog. Not a whole bunch of details, just a little bit. They call this visual syllabus. It's like the whole overview of the unit, so that you don't give a whole lot of information. You're just like, we're gonna learn about dogs. Maybe you're talking about like, what do you guys know about dogs? Maybe adding some of that stuff up there.
Okay.
The cat is pink. Okay, so here's the cat. A little bit about the cat. Maybe ask about everybody has a cat. Oh, yeah, Bill has a cat. Everybody's name's Bill.
Okay.
You ever notice in the stories, everybody wants Bill. And then the hamster.
Or Bob.
So
Bob
here's the
was
little
one.
hamster, and you're gonna write about the hamster. Okay?
Okay.
That's day one. Then, so that was your input, your oral input. So what are you gonna do after that? Like in the framework of the daily instruction, what do you do after you do some oral input? So you're to spend about 15 minutes
Then you get the
on this chart.
the shared writing.
Before the writing, you're gonna review,
Oh, reading.
Right.
Guided oral reading.
and then you're gonna write.
Okay.
Then what are you gonna do?
Read
And then what are you gonna do at the end?
the application and assessment.
Assing out. All right, that's like day one. Okay.
Okay.
So here's day two.
Day two is input chart on phase one.
So you're not gonna be teaching about how to make curriculum. You're gonna be teaching about these animals.
Right.
Now you want to pick this animal, the one that you like the best and you have the most to say about, because they're gonna work with this animal, and then the other ones are gonna be used for
Expert groups.
their groups.
Okay.
So what animal would you pick?
Dog.
Okay. So you're gonna pick the dog. What color's the dog?
Red.
Okay. So you're gonna draw a dog. And then you're gonna write some stuff about the dog. Now, if you were teaching about these pets, what would be 3 things that people need to know about pets?
So their habitat.
Okay.
Their food.
You're gonna give a color to each one.
Oh, okay.
Habitat, and it has to be a different color. This is why Mr. Sketch is so popular with these GLAD teachers.
Okay.
And what other color?
Green.
Okay.
Their food.
Uh-huh. And what else?
And then let's do brown responsibilities.
Brown is the most boring color, but it smells best.
All right.
You're also gonna give it a shape. So let's make
okay.
this that, and it doesn't matter. You can do anything. So that's an oval, and then you're gonna put food in a little cloud. Okay. So you just thought about that before,
Okay.
and then you're gonna talk about their food and tell them some things about their food, and maybe draw some of the stuff. Right? There's their kibble. Maybe label that.
Okay.
And then you're gonna talk about their habitat and maybe draw some pictures and put it in a leash and talk about that. Then you're gonna talk about the responsibilities. What you have to do to love your dog, to take them on a walk, to clean up their poop.
Okay.
And then you're gonna do this.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
Then the next day, you're going to. What are you gonna do?
We're going to. Is this the expert group? So read and mark on the page of information.
Okay. So on this page of information, what is going to be about this chart? So what's the title going to be?
It's the information is going to be about this chart.
Yeah. So you're just doing information on this chart.
Dogs.
Yeah. You don't necessarily color code the page, but I just want you to see where it came from. So then you have 3 subtitles. What are the subtitles?
Habitat, food, and responsibilities.
So dog's habitat. And then you're gonna have like a couple sentences here. These are beginners.
Okay.
You're gonna have a place for them to draw. And then food. on the back, responsibilities. Okay?
Yep.
You're gonna read that with the class.
Is that the one you write beforehand?
Yeah, you have to write that before.
Okay.
And you're actually gonna write 3 of them.
Right.
Because the other 2 are gonna be read
They
in the
use-
other groups.
Okay, right. Now I'm starting to realize when I see that format, it's a pre-written.
Yeah. So then you teach them. Remember when we marked it up and it was like first letter, last letter, and then what else did you do? What did you do in the box?
We drew the highlighted words,
And
drew arrows.
and could it all be black in this situation? What's gonna happen if you come to your teacher and it's all black?
You won't know who did all the work.
But actually, in this case, it is gonna all be black because the kids are doing this individually,
Okay.
and you're doing it with the class. So you work on this with the class. And I would probably do it during reading workshop.
Okay.
And you probably have to do it over like 3 days.
This over 3 days.
So that means in the rest of the lesson, you're going to do some different kind of guided oral input.
So you would take maybe day 1 just to work on habitat and then.
Well, yeah, because reading workshop's only like 7 or 8 minutes long. Right?
Yeah,
It's like,
right,
let's
right,
work
right.
with this. And plus, things lose their luster when they go on like a billion years.
Yeah.
So speaking of things losing their luster, you might have the guided oral input. I'm not even going to use that card because it's going to confuse me. You might have the guided oral input.
Yeah, the friend of mine who teaches, I've been to a few of her classes, and she just
Be about like a different topic,
say, this is what I do. And you're always
like a different informational topic. Because remember, you're not doing this till informational.
Okay. So that could be.
Maybe you're gonna.
Could that be about recycling something you've done before?
Sure.
Or
Oh,
could you
I
talk
thought you meant
about-
recycling. Those are
No,
two
no,
different.
no. I mean about recycling.
We'll just finish it later. So then once you've processed this, what you're gonna do is you're going to do a class mind map.
Okay.
So, do you remember what they look like?
Yes.
So tell me how to draw it.
So you're going to do an animal in the center.
Well, that would be an
Is that
input
that
chart.
was-
A mind map actually just has words in the center. How many of these am I going to put going off?
Oh, okay. So you're going to do the 3 categories:
Yeah,
the habitat,
yeah.
the food, and the responsibilities.
And what am I
then
gonna
you're
write
the
in the middle?
The animal in the middle.
So
I'm
I'm
sorry,
going to
that's
write
what I meant.
dog. Oh, it's okay. We had to take that little break, so slipped our minds. And then what am I going to put on these ones?
Those are going to be other circles, or no, that's going to be habitat.
Yep,
other
yep.
Circle, cloud, green, and responsibilities heart.
Habitat. And then what am I doing next?
Green is food.
Okay, a green cow. And then what else?
And then a heart for responsibilities.
Aw, because you gotta love your dog. It's really important that you write the whole word out. Because otherwise, if you're putting an abbreviation, they're not going to acquire the word as well. Because they're going to be seeing it more.
Yes.
And then, who's going to put the other things down below these? Are you going to put, like up here, you know, you're telling the class everything.
Right.
Are you going to tell, and on this one, you're telling the class everything. So are you going to tell the class everything here?
No, the expert groups.
So who's
correct,
the expert
or-
here? This is the first one.
So the first one was the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have the dog and the mind map. And
Yeah.
so whoever was the group that wrote the dogs,
So this was the first one that we did. So we did it with the whole class.
right.
So then when we make the mind map, we're just doing it like as a whole class.
Yes.
So
So you are writing.
So this is like a guided input. We're gonna be doing this together. So I'm gonna scribe for the kids, but who's gonna give me the information?
the kids in that group that had that animal. Yes?
That's, yeah, when we go on to the other ones. So we did the dog as a class.
Okay, so we're done with the dog. No?
Well, now
We
we're
got dog.
processing our reading about the dog.
Okay.
So what we did was here, I gave this information to the class on this visual syllabus about the dog and the cat and the hamster.
Okay.
And then we reviewed it, we know a lot of stuff. Then I made this for the whole class, this input chart on the dog. I'm never gonna make an input chart on the cat, and I'm never gonna make an input chart on the hamster.
Right.
All I'm doing is the dog, and it's categories. Then this reading, we did it as the whole class, about what we did here as a whole class.
With the dog.
And we did it during reading workshop because we did one, because it takes a while, right? So I'm teaching them how to process this text.
Right.
And then maybe the input was about like some other family or pet or, you know, personal topic.
Yeah.
Because that's what novices mostly talk about. That's why they're so fun to teach.
Nice. Yes.
So then I put this up in front of the class. And so my question is, am I writing this myself or am I asking the whole class for like, what do we know about their food? And waiting for them, the class to give me information.
You are writing it, but the group is it the group?
So we haven't moved into our groups yet.
Oh, we
So
haven't.
the class
'cause we
did
just
this
did the
together.
dogs.
Mhm.
Okay,
Dog,
so
dog, dog, dog. Then we're gonna have two groups that do hamster and cat.
so you are writing.
Yep. So if they say something about
So this is like an oral review.
it is, but this for that day would be the oral input because it's gonna take a
Okay,
while.
oral input.
And
for
we're,
that
basic,
day.
we're
Not a
basically
new day.
getting more input because for especially a first year class, you're not going to be able to say like, "Hey, everybody, tell me about dog's food." You're going to be like, you're going to think about what you read.
Yes.
You may be even holding it in your hand.
Okay.
Like I was holding it in my hand when I was teaching you guys the reading. And you go, "Hey, do dogs eat kibble or hamburgers?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Kibble." Well, duh. They don't eat hamburgers. Dogs eat kibble. Do dogs eat once a day? And it's like right here. You just read it. And it was also on
Yes.
here. We've talked about this here, read about it here, and now you're writing about it here. Do dogs eat once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, or it depends on their owner? You're like, it depends on them because they've got this too.
Yeah.
They've been reading it. It depends on their owner. Some eat once a day. Oh, it depends on their owner. Some eat once a day. Some. Do you have a dog?
No.
Do you have a dog? How many times a day does your dog eat?
I feed him once, but he may eat 3 times a day.
Well, my dog, we feed him once and he eats it all in like 5 seconds.
I can feed him in the morning and he doesn't eat until like 4 in the afternoon.
Is this the dog that lays there and is like, hey?
Yep.
That's a mellow dog.
Yep.
My dog doesn't have a mellow bone in his body. So anyway, we are obviously filling this out together, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And maybe, we finish that. It's not like you have to do them all at the same time either. You might bounce around. It gets kind of boring sometimes if you do.
Yeah.
Now we're doing habitat. Did you notice when we were doing the circle, I didn't make it go around the circle? A little bit of randomness is usually more interesting to people, keeps them more engaged. So after we do this for the guided oral input, what are we gonna do after that for the class period?
The oral review.
Uh-huh. So we're gonna review, and then what are we gonna do after that?
We're gonna write.
Uh,
We're gonna read.
oh yeah.
And then we're gonna do assess an application.
Yeah, good. The A and A.
And all of these are related to this. Is that correct, or is it something
I
different?
would.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would review this chart. Write a paragraph about the dog. And then, of course, when you're doing the writing, you're probably going to have an anchor chart, something about informational writing,
Okay.
because this is the informational unit. So on your anchor chart, it'll probably say something in L2 about, I don't know, something like, I think the first one is writing organized paragraphs. So then you're gonna have like some more L2 down here to show them how to do it. So you're gonna write that on there today. And then you're also today gonna write some examples in your goal box. On your discuss paper.
Okay.
But the topic of this is all gonna be that.
Okay.
And because it's the information unit, and you chose an informational topic, and it has, in the book there's these informational writing points, then you're going to be able to make that all match up. No matter what you decide to do for the content. You could be doing like a picture talk on the subways in Paris. As long as you load in some informational stuff, it'll match up with these
Okay.
writing points. I made it that way because I didn't want to be telling people what to teach. Because the cool thing about language is we don't have to teach anything.
Right.
But that's also the weird thing. It's like it makes it hard because like what are we supposed to teach now? You know?
Yep.
Okay, so after we did this, then they're ready to read their own animal.
Yes.
So how many expert groups are we gonna have?
We are gonna have 2 expert groups.
Okay, and do you think you would take your class of 35 kids and have like one expert group and another expert group?
No.
Okay, so how many expert groups do you think you probably have?
So we'd probably have maybe 3 in a group. Is that?
I
or
think
would you do-
3 in a group is what Project Glad told us is the best number of group members. They said even grown-ups.
Oh, okay.
3 people in a group is like the best group number. Look at us right here. We're getting along quite well. Whereas when I was in that big group, it was just horrible. I'm just kidding, y'all. But it's not as high functioning. We can't exchange information as
Right.
easily because
Right.
it's one person talking to 30 people instead of 3 people sharing together. So you have them get into 3 people in the group. And what do you give them?
You give them the reading like this of their animal.
Okay, so give me an example of an animal.
So we've got the hamster.
Okay, so this is a hamster group. And then what's this title?
That's the habitat. So it's gonna look exactly like
Same
that.
as this. Oh yeah, hamsters are orange. Probably if you, for elementary it would be fun to color code everything. Probably for teaching upper level classes you wouldn't color code it, but the habitat is still going to be the same, information. But you can
Okay.
color code it in the upper grades. If I did that though, I'd probably put it in one of those sheet protectors and have them write on it with the expo markers because that way you can save it for later. Okay, so you got their habitat. And where have you probably got this reading from?
Where are we getting the reading from?
Yeah, where do you get the reading?
I gave it to you.
I mean, where are you going to get the readings as the teacher?
Oh, I'm gonna make them.
Yeah, because you're not going to find anything that's
Right.
like habitat.
Yeah, and they're gonna
then
be like 2 to 3
food.
sentences long in the readings.
Yeah, it's going to be short. It's going to be easy to make. And here's something else. Once you make, this is amazing. I learned this. I would never have known it unless I had made the whole 8 things that you guys read. Once you make this, you can like copy and paste it, and I swear like 65% of what you used in there is going to be the same in here. So what I would do is like take one cycle or one phase and like copy it in the next one, and then I know them pretty well. I made them up, so I'd go through them and like just change the things that were different for that cycle. So and then you guys don't really care because you're not reading them all. You don't care if they're slightly repetitive because all you had to do was read this one and then this one.
Right.
And then honestly, because the language was so similar here,
Yes.
you're just getting all these
Yeah, more
reps of
success
the
on
language
that.
down here in a different, context. So it's not boring because, well, you've seen it twice, so that's not that boring.
Right.
Plus now you're working with your friends and you're reading it.
Yeah. And it's a different animal.
And then you also can do this thing where you have a team color chart. So the team fills this out and like keeps it like in their folder or whatever. And I don't think I told you guys about this. So they would like they would pick a color. So Bill is gonna be red. So they write Bill in red. But they'd probably write like rouge or whatever. And then maybe Donna is blue. So they put their name and maybe this other kid is brown. So then they go in here, right? And they're all like, okay, what do they do up in the text?
So now they're highlighting important words.
So they're all working on one text, you realize. There's
Not
one
piece of
text
paper. One piece of
for
paper.
the whole group.
Okay.
Yep.
So 3 people are
they're
looking at one
all
piece of paper.
reading the same text.
Okay.
This is because you want them to support each other. Ideally, you'd have like a plus grade level kid, a regular grade level kid, and a negative. Like, you'd have a group of kids like where the higher kids can like support the lower kids, like because they're
Would
all
you
working
do,
in one
like some
text.
sort of like volleyball reading with it as well to show
You
comprehension?
you
or-
totally could,
Okay.
but they are gonna have to like grapple with the text together. So,
Yeah. Okay.
could also
Alright.
skip it.
And they have colors because then you know who.
Yeah.
Visually, you can see who's doing.
Yeah. So like this kid has red.
Yes.
This kid has blue, And this kid, now Al, if you're gonna make it for that elementary 5, you would try to make sure that you don't have blue
Right.
markers for the kids when you've got blue words for the kids. But I think like a secondary teacher.
I do.
So how do they highlight the word?
So they highlight the first letter,
Yeah.
the last letter, and then everything in between.
And why do they do that?
I don't remember.
Well, think about it. What do kids normally do when you
Oh,
get them
because
to
they would
highlight?
highlight the whole sentence.
Yeah, they just paint the paper.
Yes, they just paint,
So
highlight
this
everything.
slows them down.
Yeah.
Plus another thing that slows them, let's pretend like they highlight one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and you've modeled it here, right?
Yep, yep.
And so another thing that slows them down is the requirement that they go like this. What are they drawing down here?
Oh, they're drawing the word out and then drawing a line down to the word, from the word down to the picture.
So what if Joe does all of them and they're all brown and they bring them to their lovely teacher who's waiting right over here for this next step that they're gonna have? That's me.
Then I would say, well, it looks like maybe Joe did a lot of the work here. I'm thinking maybe we should go back and reassess and make sure we get some other people to do some work.
When you're talking to the kids, are you like, hey, it looks like Joe used brown, or you're like, oh, Joe, il me paraît que tu as fait beaucoup de travail. Bon boulot, Joe. Mais Bill, quelle couleur? It's a couleur. Or you think you're gonna be doing it in English, or you think you're gonna like get them back into French?
Well, I'm going to do that in Spanish, but
Yeah.
I could try in French, but they wouldn't understand.
That would be interesting for them. It would be very interesting to see if they like called you on it, because like in my French class, sometimes they pick up a Spanish book by accident and they wouldn't even notice. They're like, and then at the end of the class, I'm like, that book's, oh, no wonder it was hard. So you're gonna have this little conversation with them in L2 when they bring it to you, okay?
Yes.
And if it's all Bill or Joe, then well, the below grade level kid Joe is really just pumping it, man. So you want it to look more like this, right? Like everybody's sharing. So they did that. They've understood the text. They bring it to you, and you're having like this little, meeting. This is like the little intermediate step, right? They're nervous. They want to make sure that they're doing a good job. And while you're talking to them about their text, then usually I ask like some questions in L2. I tell them to point out their favorite drawing in French, right? And then I ask them to say the word that the drawing goes to. So you're like forcing them to say the academic word.
Yep.
Then you ask them, how does the drawing show the word? But you don't say that. You say like, how does this clock show the meaning of the word frequently in French? And then they have to say that. And so you're asking them to do a little output. And then sometimes you got kids like waiting, like there's like a bunch of kids like back here waiting, and they're just like, waiting and listening. So they're hearing this little conversation about their, text too.
Okay.
So once they get done, you hand them one of these. And it's like blank, right? And I put mine, when we worked with you guys, inside of a sheet protector. Because you're not gonna, that's really ugly, but there's your mind map. So here's a little sheet protector. Because you can use it over and over, they're not gonna actually write on it. Do you remember what I handed you when I handed you your mind map? So you got a mind map and a sheet protector. What else I give you? Just plain paper.
Oh,
right?
yes, to
I just handed you copy paper.
make it trace it.
And then you went back and made your own mind map.
Yep.
And then at the end, we made this process grid. This is like a whole nother, this process right here is, this is like one of the only times in this whole sort of shebang that I've showed you this week, or shown you, that is not really following that daily framework. You've got to make time for all this work to happen, and you can't just like squeeze it into one of those lesson components. So during these 2 days maybe that you're spending on this, I would do like norming the class, and then maybe some reading workshop. Maybe you're pulling out some vocabulary off of here. Maybe you're doing your cognitive content dictionary. Just teaching them some useful vocab. And then I would get them to like work in their groups. Oh no, sorry. I would give them some guided oral input. Just a little tiny bit, like the calendar, because you don't want, if you start like early in the year, like even in like April and February, you know, if you start early, you're like, whatever, we're not doing that today. They're like, oh, she's soft. She doesn't care anymore if we do the routine, you know, and then they it's like they don't know that it's actually a possibility that you wouldn't do it until you stop, and they're like, oh, that's a choice she's making every day. I'm gonna whine and see if she'll stop. I'm tired of doing the calendar. I don't want to do. So if you just make them do the tiniest little bit of input and then tell them, okay, today's special, we're gonna go work, then it's like they're not gonna whine as much later.
Yeah.
And if they're already reading, like if they're already doing like free reading, I would definitely make them free read every day because they will whine you to death if you give them one little break off of free reading.
Okay.
Okay, so then you get to the next day and you're kind of back to the routine, right? Because you're gonna fill in this process grid for about 14 minutes. But if it takes a couple days, that's fine.
Okay.
Because it might take a little while longer, like you might have a good conversation.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a big one. So let's see, tell me what's up at the top here.
So up at the top you have your symbols.
And
Well,
how
in here-
many rows do I have here?
You need 3 because you got 3 animals.
Okay, and what are my animals?
And you've got dog.
And I'll put dog on the top because dogs are special in this unit. Why are dogs special?
Wired, because we already did it as a class
Yes.
together.
So this the first row is always what you did as a class. Okay. 'Cause
Okay.
it's going to be the
Oh,
model. You're going to fill that out, and then because remember we did the first one together for ours.
Yep.
And then we're going to do these together, or I'm going to call on the groups if they
Okay.
raise their hand and want to, give
And
some
it's
information.
Yeah.
So this could be either the cat or the hamster. But I'm going to say that's the cat. There's no like order that these have to go in, and this is the hamster. So then how many columns am I going to have here?
So you have 1, 2, 3. 3
And
colors.
why do I have 3 columns?
Because you have food, responsibilities, and habitat are the 3
Okay, cool.
categories.
So I'm still gonna put the word out here. So it's like
Something.
responsible. I'm gonna write the whole word.
Yep.
Okay. I just want to go get some coffee. So I'm not gonna write it. Oh, food. All right. Oh, it's short. And then habitat. And it's really important, like, to not abbreviate these. It's tempting because you're like, I don't know, I've been writing responsibilities all week, but they need it
Yes.
to be there.
Right.
So then as a class, you like say, hey, what are some responsibilities of owning a dog? Okay, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's calling things out. And, maybe they're calling out in English, but you're putting it into French. And then you talk about the food. This is as a class, like a whole class thing. Then you talk about the habitat. And maybe they're calling out like personal stuff. That's fine. You
Yeah.
just add that. And my dog has a big dog house. My dog's dog house burned down. My dog was smoking in bed.
So no, you did the dog like 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago maybe.
That's okay.
Right?
It's good.
So
spaced
then-
repetition of
Mhm. So maybe
vocabulary is
this-
actually the best.
Reading in here or this oral input could be something related to the dog.
Yeah, sure.
Just to bring it back in.
Mm-hmm. I would kind of recommend that this oral input be like 3 minutes.
Okay.
It's just like to just taste it, because this is a lot of work, and you don't want to get like way far behind and let that drag on. If group work drags on a long time, it kind of can get stale.
Yes.
Oh, and also speaking of, you want to have your special bonus early finisher stuff. What did I tell you guys to do when you finished early? You remember?
Write a paragraph.
Mm-hmm. And, lucky for you, you've got like all of these writings that you've done from all these times that you did, because you wrote about this too. So you reviewed this, you wrote about this, okay? So you wrote about that. So you could go look at one of those. You could
Yeah.
even have some of these copied off and hand it to the kids. Like, here's a sample paragraph, go write your own paragraph. That's about a dog. Yours is a hamster, so they can't copy it. They can use it as a model. And then you can say, copy a chart, know about another animal, or go copy the chart about the dog, or write inside there's all kinds of things you can do, right? Like write inside the text, like you did with Justin. Edit your own sentences.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so maybe this is all you do in one day, because it might take a while, right? The whole class might want to share about dogs. Maybe they don't. Maybe you just move right on. They're going to talk about cats.
Okay.
So what are you going to write in here? Wait, why did I do that? Why did I change? That should not change. Oh no, I'm so sad. It was so pretty. This should be all red, because it's all about the dog. So then what am I going to write about the cat in?
So then you're gonna do the responsibilities of food and habitat, and you're gonna have the class, or those kids who read the cat or worked on the
Yes.
cat will participate in that piece of it.
And maybe some other kids are gonna be like, I have a cat. My
Yes.
cat's name is Snowball. That's fine. I mean, especially for us language teachers, it's like we don't have any content standards to cover. We can talk about,
Yes.
Kiwan's cat named Snowball, until tomorrow. And we'll add more stuff about the actual, here's the experts talking, okay?
So do you have a method for if you have 35 kids and you have that means what, there's going to be like 6 groups of 3 for here, and who gets to say what?
So
or,
you
know,
could
what
do
is
that talking numbered heads, right? That I just told you guys about.
Yep.
So that means you have 2 things. Now you've got popsicle sticks for the brain breaks. This is for the heads. So in here, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And in here, you've got the names of the groups. So this has probably more in it, right? Because you got a lot more groups, and this says 1 to 4.
Okay.
And so you could be like, I'm gonna call on the. Well, in this situation, you would only put the cat groups in there, right? I'm gonna call. So take a minute, Parlez avec votre groupe et décidez quelle est la responsabilité la plus importante avec les chiens or avec les chats. So they'll talk, like put their heads together. It's a differentiated group, so they're able to kind of, help each other out. So now everybody's got something to say. So everybody's feeling okay. I mean, I would do that if my kids feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like maybe into the first year, second year, and depending on the class, some classes love that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I haven't had really a lot of problem with like doing.
Like kids not wanting to talk.
Yeah.
Sometimes one kid just like hates talking,
Yeah.
But
And they come and tell me if they don't want to.
I had a kid be like, "Don't call me." I called her in attendance, and she's like, "Don't call me." She had some troubles,
All right.
So
that's great.
then, however many chunks of 14 minutes that still is interesting, I would keep doing it. If it stops getting interesting, maybe move on to something else and come back, some other day.
And I'm doing this during. So this is going to be. Is this the like? Do this and then this?
Oh, I would get right back to the guided oral input. These are the only special days.
Okay. So this is.
So
in
here
the
I get
guided
right back to
oral
the
input.
guided oral input being 14 minutes.
14 minutes.
So
Okay.
it's like you're gonna come in, you're gonna norm the class, you're gonna do reading workshop, then you're gonna do this guided oral input for 14 minutes. If you don't finish it, no big deal.
Do it.
Come back to it later.
Yeah.
Maybe not the next day.
Oh, not the next day.
I mean,
Same
it could be. Depends. You don't want it to get like you're forcing them through. I hate feeling like I'm forcing my class to do anything.
Yeah.
Especially because we don't have content standards.
Right. And we only
We don't have
one
to
more.
finish this before, the big test, because we're not having a big test on like acquiring the French language. We're just growing.
Yeah.
So then after that, you're gonna do review, write, read, and assessment, or apply. Like basically, when it says apply, it means take a quiz. But I didn't want to say take a quiz because you don't always take a quiz.
Right.
That's mostly what I do.
Okay.
And then, so how many days have you spent?
1, 2, 4, 5. So that's 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
I say at least 10.
10. Okay.
But in this part, you took a break.
Mhm.
So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 days that were like super duper like dog, cat, hamster. And within those 7 days, 2 of them were like working in groups, so that felt different.
Yep.
That was probably like a special treat for your class, honestly. My class loves working in groups.
Oh, okay.
So the days that were like normal class plus like the same topic is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And I think a class could hang easily with 5 days in a row of regular class about this topic about animals.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, here, you take this home.
Thank you.
Oh, but first I want Allison to take a picture.